Hello and welcome back. This is a sixth grade math video, and in this video, we're going to be focusing on how to write equivalent ratios. Okay, here is our first example. We're going to take a look at these two ratios, and we're going to find the number that fits into the blank to make the two ratios equivalent. So my first step here is probably going to be to rewrite these ratios in their fraction form. That'll make things a little bit easier. So I'm going to rewrite 1 to 5 as 1 to 5. Because remember, ratios can be written in three ways. They can be written with the word to, T-O, between the numbers. They can be written with the colon like they are on the top here, where it's 1 to 5, but they can also be written in fraction form where it's 1 to 5, but it looks like a fraction. So that's what I did there. Now I'm going to rewrite this one as 4 to blank. So this was how it becomes easier to rewrite it in fraction form. So now I'm comparing the first number in each ratio to see how I can multiply or divide to get the second number. So I know if I wanted to go from 1 to 4 using multiplication or division, I would probably multiply 1 times 4 to get 4. So now I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. I'm going to multiply 5 times 4, which should give me my number here that will make them equivalent. 5 times 4 is 20. So the way we create equivalent ratios is the same way we create equivalent fractions. We multiply both the top and the bottom by the same number. So I'm going to use that rule to help us here. So the number that would go in the blank to make these two ratios equivalent would be the number 20. Okay, here is our next one. We want to know what number makes these two ratios equivalent. The two ratios are 1 to 7 and 5 to something. So my first step is going to be to rewrite these ratios in their fraction form. So I'm going to rewrite 1 to 7 as 1 to 7 and 5 to something as 5 to blank. I'm going to leave that part blank. So now I'm looking from 1 to 5 to see how I can use multiplication or division to go from 1 to 5. The answer to that would be to multiply 1 times 5. So I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom to get my missing number. 7 times 5 is 35. So that means the number that would go in the blank to make these equivalent would be 35. Okay, here's our next example. We're going to find the number that makes these two ratios equivalent, and the ratios are 2 to 9 and 4 to something. So I'm going to rewrite 2 to 9 into its fraction form, 2 to 9, and 4 to something in its fraction form. So now I need to analyze how I would go from 2 to 4 using multiplication. The way that I would do that is I would multiply it by 2. So I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom so I can get that blank number. 9 times 2 is 18. So that is the number that would go here to make these equivalent ratios. Okay, here's our next example. We want to know what number would make these two ratios equivalent. The ratios are 16 to 12 and something to 6. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite those as fractions. So I'm going to rewrite 16 to 12, or rewrite that ratio in its fraction form, and then blank to 6. So I left the top blank on purpose. Okay, now I need to figure out how I go from 12 to 6 using either multiplication or division. Well, the answer to that would be to divide it by 2. So whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top to make it equivalent. So 16 divided by 2 would be 8. So the missing number here that makes them equivalent would be 8. Okay, here is our next example and our last example for today's video. How or what number would make these two ratios equivalent? So let's start by rewriting 1 to 3 into its fraction form. 1 to 3, and then something to 21 in its fraction form as well. Now I'm going to look, and since I have both bottom numbers, that's what I'm going to analyze to figure out how we took 3 and turned it into 21 using multiplication or division. The answer to that would be to multiply it by 7. So that's what I'm going to do to the top to find the equivalent number. 1 times 7 is 7. So 7 is the missing number that would make these two ratios equivalent. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video soon.